buy some land, slap up some cabins, and be a millionaire, right? Kind of. I'm here on my land at one of my cabins, Squatch Hollow. We're in southeastern Kentucky, and I am 2 months in renting these properties. Let me tell you how it went. It's easy to watch a bunch of these videos, guys on the internet, right? That are like, look, I got this awesome cabin, I'm making a ton of money, and you know, I can tell you firsthand, it's been great, but it's been a lot of work, and it's not always as easy as one might think. I've been coming to this area in southeastern Kentucky by the Red River Gorge, renting cabins for the better part of 12 years. We always said it was kind of our dream to have something of our own and something that I could build, something that we could use for some income to make a little extra money and for my retirement. 3 years ago, I guess, we bought the property that I'm sitting on now. It's 83 acres. We paid $96,000 for it. And we've got lots of room to build cabins. Shortly after we started here, there's another one kind of at the entrance that became available. You can watch some of the other videos to find out the details on that. We purchased that too, and now we own a third one. The process that it took to build these cabins was for us to travel 500 miles with everything I own to come build these cabins. I have a family at home, so there's a lot of time away from home, and it was a lot of money. I know there's different ways to do this. You know, I know the trades. That's what I do for a living, and I have some friends and employees that are available to come help. So that's kind of the route we went. What was interesting, and why I say it's a little bit different if you're, watching people after the fact, hey, this cabin's done, it's beautiful, it rents. Either do this by yourself, which would take a long time, you pay for some help. If I stood here on this property 3 years ago with a dump truck full of cash and said, I'm going to pay someone to build these cabins for me and rent, I wouldn't know who to give that money to. When we were here, it took me over a year just to find somebody to put the road in for us. That was part of what made this first cabin so hard, is we're taking four-wheelers, ATVs, side-by-sides, tractors, and hauling material, this quarter mile up the driveway just to get this cabin built. In the meantime, trying to find someone. Once we did, it's all graveled, everything's in place, we've got power. You could roll your Prius up to the front door here. In fact, the second cabin that we have was kind of similar lay of the land. It went much quicker because we knew lots of people, but that one is wheelchair accessible. It was barely helicopter accessible when we first started. So let's say that you purchased some land in an area, you'd done your research, and you knew that it would be a good place to have a cabin. In our case, we love coming to this area, so if the cabin rentals were a complete flop, it didn't really matter. To me, we would wind up with a beautiful cabin that I could come stay in an area I liked. But you assume if my family's enjoyed coming here for 10 or 12, 13 years, and renting cabins, that other people do too. So it was a great area. But let's say that you bought some land in an area you knew, had done your research that it would rent well. And you bought something that already had some infrastructure and maybe a road and a clearing. That's a great start, because that was kind of our biggest hurdle. But we went ahead and we started building this cabin. It took us almost 2 years to get the first cabin done. We are professional trades guys, carpenters, exterior remodelers. This is what we do for a living. Now, getting the road in, again, was a big delay for us, but also getting here. We could come 6 or 7 of us for, let's say a week to 10 days every month. Sometimes we came twice in the same month. So we weren't here full-time working on it, but it is 500 miles away. So if you were doing something that was closer to home, if you were in a position to be here all the time, you could probably fast-track that. But there were a lot of us as well. So even if you were here full-time and doing it by yourself, that would take quite a bit. I'm rambling. Once we got this cabin under wraps, at least to the point where we could sleep in it, things went a lot quicker. We got the second cabin. We gutted that thing, completely remodeled the inside of it, and as we stand now, we are at the 3-year mark. It is middle of July right now. We're getting towards the end of July. I don't know, probably a couple weeks later by the time you guys watch this. We rented these in the beginning of May. The middle of May is when we first started putting them up for rent. And I wasn't even planning on putting them up for rent until the 2024 spring. I thought we'll get the other one done and whatever. We found some great help that was able to help us maintain the cabins, get them cleaned when I can't be here, co-host. And she said to me, you just got to put them up. And I know if any of you watch anything like how to make YouTube videos, things like that, doing these rentals things, analysis paralysis, I think they say, it's easy to get caught up on everything being absolutely perfect before you rent them out. She was a big help in saying, you just gotta rent them. It might not be real pretty at first, but you got to get them rented. You got to start getting your money back, and you could just sit there and knick-knack forever. So that's what we did. Let me tell you how it went. We put both these cabins up for rent in May 15th, on Airbnb and VRBO. Those are the only two places. Yes, if you're going to rent them, you want to get it going, but at the same time, I was really nervous for what's going to break, how things are going to go, And we had rented one of our rentals in Illinois close to my house on Airbnb. It was a former escape room. I've got several videos on that. So we had a little feel for how things would go on Airbnb. It wasn't a total shot in the dark. My wife and I were talking last night on our way in. We drove 8 hours to get here. We were getting some groceries and things. I got a message from one of our guests staying in the cabin on the top of the hill in the Sunset Ridge, and he said the power's out. And he says, I don't know what to do. I've got groceries in my car. I have to work remotely. I need internet. The power's off. And, I'm not the power company. I don't know what to tell the guy, but I understand his frustration. So I called the power company. A tree fell down the power lines. It'll come up, back on within the hour. Crews are out fixing it. And it did. We're here. Power's on. Everything's fine. Some of those things, if you don't have a plan put in place, you're not going to know what to do. So it's not always a matter of just getting them to rent and making that money. That's all fine and great, but I had looked into management companies, and I thought, okay, again, back to that, just throwing a bunch of money at it. I'll get a full-blown management company to watch this place, take care of it for me. I won't have to do anything. Well, there are two major players, if you will, in this area. Part of what makes this so profitable is it got written up last year as the #1 fastest growing short-term rental market in the United States. What do you think that does to local management companies? They wouldn't even talk to me anymore. So once they got so busy, they also want a third of your money. That's huge. So finding someone here who I found through my realtor, who I built a relationship with, buying 3 properties now, establishing these relationships, we're now paying kind of a la carte, if you will, for cleaning and maintenance and things like that. I really think we lucked out because I can't be here to do it myself. In the month of May, we put these things up. I think it was like the 18th to the 31st, the 30th, May of 30 days. They rented 80% occupancy in the first month. I did not see that coming. And knock on wood, we had very few problems. We had done a lot of test runs ourselves. I had stayed in the cabin. I kind of knew what I was getting into. June, we had them, I want to say, 20-something days in there. It was like 18 guests who stayed one night. One night's really popular. Was really surprised at how people book with such short notice. And again, the help that I have here cleaning these is amazing. And they told me, man, somebody leaves, we're there to clean it. They leave at 10 o'clock, 10:01, we're in the cabin cleaning. And, in your head, you're going, why? There's nobody here for the next week. Until one of them books that day and shows up at 3 o'clock going, what's the door code? Okay. If you're not sensing a theme here, having good help if you're not here to do it yourself is paramount. They are renting well. I think for the month of July, we will be in the mid-80% for occupancy. And in July is my 3rd month, May not even a full month. I think by the time we get done, we'll be in the 90% occupancy range on these cabins. I did not expect that. I didn't believe that would happen. But it is going really well, and we're very thankful for that. Part of that is we're renting them pretty low. Airbnb had some introductory rates. You could have some promos to get your cabin going. We've worked hard to do reviews on guests, be on the inbox, good customer service, great cleaning to get these things where they're at. Our move from here then is maybe some third-party apps that make the Saturday more expensive than Tuesday. some special event rates, things like that. It's going to quickly come to a point where occupancy, you just, I mean, you can't get over 100%. And in the 90s, boy, you just, I think that can go consistently to that 92, 95% occupancy. We'll see. I'm sure it's a little seasonal in the winter. That's probably when we'll block off some dates to come ourselves, do some more building on the next cabin. We're building one in my barn at home, because if you're going to be here staying in this one and not renting it, it's going to take a big toll on your occupancy as well. Things you need to watch for, but I do think you can get those occupancies in the right area and the right price, into that 90%. It is not a short game. It is not a quick one. It is not inexpensive. When you see these videos like this person threw up a tent on their 5-acre property in the middle of Detroit, and they're making $1 million a year. No way. If somebody's managed to do that, I'm sure there are one-offs here and there, but for the most part, what you see is the result of a lot of hard work, a lot of stress, a lot of money, and a good business plan to make it happen. So before you watch some of these videos and go, boom, buy some land, throw up a cabin, make $1 million, do I think that's possible? Absolutely. Do I think it gets a little sensationalized on the internet? I do. Without me rambling on anymore, leave your comments, down below, questions, things like that. I love talking to people. The email's in the description. Send me pictures. We love those as well. And we will see you guys on the next one. Come along with us for this journey, and you can experience it secondhand, third hand. Hopefully we'll get there. Thanks for watching.